The most prominent and well-known example of a world's first woman atheist is Madalyn Murray O'Hair, according to the Free Speech Center. She was a vocal advocate for atheism and the separation of church and state in the United States, famously challenging mandatory prayer and Bible reading in public schools. While other women throughout history have expressed atheist or near-atheist views, Madalyn O'Hair is particularly notable for her activism and the impact of her legal challenges on American society. Her case began against the Baltimore Public Schools, which argued that mandatory prayer and Bible reading was unconstitutional, reached the Supreme Court and resulted in a landmark ruling in 1963. This decision, along with other legal battles she spearheaded, significantly shaped the relationship between religion and public education in the United States. Now, come listen as we take a look into the world's most disliked woman, the first female of atheism. Now, let's make this very clear. We're not here to bash this woman on her beliefs. Everybody has their own beliefs. And at the end of the day, they have to come to terms with that when it's their time. So this is not a negative bashing. This is just a look into how it all started, in a way. Madalyn Mays was born in the Beechview neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on April 13th, 1919, the daughter of Leanna Christine and John Irwin Mays. She had an older brother, John Irwin Jr. The father was Scottish ethnicity, and their mother was German ancestry. At the age of 4, Madalyn was baptized in her father's Presbyterian church. Her mother was a Lutheran. The family moved to Ohio in 1936. Mays graduated from Roseford High School in Roseford. In 1941, Mays married John Henry Roth, a steelworker. They separated when they both enlisted for World War II service, he in the United States Corps and she in the Women's Army Corps. In 1945, April, while posted as a cryptography position in Italy, she began a relationship with an officer, William J. Murray Jr., a married Roman Catholic. He refused to divorce his wife. Mays divorced Roth and adopted the name Madalyn Murray. She gave birth to her son with Officer Murray after returning to Ohio and named the boy William J. Murray III. In 1949, Murray completed a bachelor's degree from Ashland University. She earned a law degree from the South Texas College of Law, but did not pass the bar exam. She moved her son William to Baltimore, Maryland. That's my city. My city, born and raised. On November 16, 1954, she gave birth to her second son, John Goff Murray, fathered by her boyfriend, Michael. According to her son, William, a Baptist minister, Madalyn was a communist who supported the Solvent Union. William claimed that when he was still a child, Madalyn began hosting Labor Party's meetings and asked him to attend so he could, as quoted from Maryland, learn the truth about capitalism. After returning home from Paris, Mary and her sons went to live with her mother, father, and brother at their house in Loch Raven Neighborhood Village in Baltimore. That's my village. That's one of my villages. I lived over there for a long time. I never knew this lady lived so deep in most of the cities I lived in here in Maryland. But anyway, soon after, Madalyn accompanied William to their neighborhood school, Woodburn Junior High, to re-enroll William for freshman classes. Madalyn was unhappy to see, after the Pledge of Allegiance, engage in prayer. She instructed William to keep a log of all religious exercises, references to religion for the next 2 weeks, saying, well, if they'll keep us from going to Russia where there is some freedom, we'll just have to change America. Now, granted, this lady can do whatever she wants with her children, but I honestly believe that taking prayers out of school really messed things up for the kids in school these days. Like, I don't understand, maybe she could have had him homeschooled or whatever, but that's a weird thing to me for one person to be able to change the one thing that probably kept schools together because of her own beliefs. Like, I understand you got your beliefs, don't get me wrong, but there is homeschooling. There is get a school, an atheist school. Don't go and take prayer out of all Baltimore cities, schools or county, whatever, because you dislike it. It's not everybody. It's just you. And then you got your group of people behind you. That's fine. But just like Catholic has their schools, atheists could have had their own particular school. Not to just go and scrape prayers out of every school in Baltimore City. After 2 weeks, and after her request that William be allowed to leave class during prayer times was denied by the school authorities, she pulled him out of school and proceeded to file a lawsuit against the Baltimore public school system, naming William as the plaintiff. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld her position by a ruling in 1963. Because of the hostility in Baltimore against her family related to this case, Murray left Maryland with her sons in 1963 and moved to Hawaii. She had allegedly assaulted 5 Baltimore City Police Department officers who tried to retrieve her son's William's girlfriend, Susan, from her house. She was a minor and had run away from home. Susan gave birth to William's daughter, whom she named Robin. Murray later adopted Robin. After settling in Austin, Texas, Ohair founded American Atheist in 1963. It identifies as a nationwide movement which defends the civil rights of non-believers, works for the separation of church and state, and addresses issues of First Amendment public policy. She served as the group's first chief executive officer and president until 1986. She was a public voice and face of atheism in the United States during the 1960s and the 1970s. Although her son Garth Murray succeeded her officially as president, she retained most of the power in decision-making. In 1965 interview with Playboy, she described religion as a crutch and as a generational reliance on superstitions and supernatural nonsense. Wow. In the same Playboy interview, O'Hair described numerous alleged incidents of harassment, intimidation, and death threats against her and her family. She read several letters she claimed to have received, including one that read, referring to the conversion of Paul the Apostle on the road to Damascus. May Jesus, who you so viciously deny, change you into a Paul. Ohair told the interviewer, "Isn't that lovely?" Isn't that lovely? She said, "Yes, that's so lovely. Thank you so much for that." Sorry. She said that she left Baltimore because of prosecution from residents. She had received mail containing photos smeared with feces. Ooh, that's nasty. Her son Garth's pet kitten was unalived, and her home was stoned. She said that she thought such events were a catalyst of her father's fatal heart attack. She filed several lawsuits challenging governmental practice based on upholding and defining the constitutional separation of church and state. Among these was one against the city of Baltimore's policy of clarifying the Catholic Church as a tax-exempt organization in terms of property. Ohair founded an atheist radio program in which she criticized religion and theism. She hosted a television show, American Atheist Forum, which was carried on more than 140 cable television systems. Arrested for disorderly conduct in Austin, 1977, Ohair continued to be a figure in the 1980s. She served as a chief speechwriter for Larry Flynt's 1984 presidential campaign. She was regularly invited to appear on the talk show as a guest. Her second son, Golf Murray, officially succeeded her as the president of American Atheist, but she said to retain most of the power, like I said. Some chapters from the main group at any time, but as in 2007, as of 2007, American Atheists continue as a active organization with a growing member. Her son, William J. Murray, became a Christian in 1980 and later became a Baptist minister, publishing a memoir of his spiritual journey in 1982. Murray O'Hair commented, "One could call this a abortion on the part of the mother. I guess him entirely and completely for now and all times, he is beyond human forgiveness." Wow. Sure kid. I thought parents are supposed to respect kids when they come with stuff like that. I guess she was just so hardcore on keeping it in her family. She was like, yeah, no, can't forgive you, get out of here. In 1988, Ohair produced several issues of Truth Seekers under her masthead as part of an attempt to take over the publication, but the courts ruled against her ownership. In the 1990s, American Atheist staff consisted of Ohair, her son, John Arthur Murray, Robin Murray O'Hair, and a handful of support personnel. William J. Murray was estranged from his mother, brother, and daughter. They had not met nor spoken for many years. The trio lived in Ohair's large home, worked in the same office, and took shared vacations. From his offices in Washington, D.C., William J. Murray continues to work for the rights of Christians in America. He has worked with numerous humanitarian projects in various nations, including China, Iraq, Jordan, Sudan, and Syria. Currently, he is also program director of the Christmas for Refuge, which supplies Christmas meals to displaced Christian children in the Middle East. Ohair filed many lawsuits in which she argued the separation of church and state had been breached. One in 1963, one in 1970, one in 1971, one in 1977, one in 1978, one in 1979, one in 1980, and one in 1984 to 1987. Now, Ohair made plenty of interviews, TV interviews, radio interviews on our TV screens. Well, on your TV screens back then, not mine particularly. Anyway, let's take a look.
I understand why they removed prayer from the school, and why didn't they also remove meat from the lunch menu? Because there may be some people who wouldn't eat meat.
Well, you see, this is exactly the reason, because people do not have a proper understanding of the basis upon which the country was founded, and they do not have a proper understanding of the extension of that principle of state church separation.
Well, I just finished telling you where I came from in respect to the activities of my parents. You see, if you're going to ask a question, you have to have enough basic moxie to be able to ask the question correctly. You don't want to ask me, where did you come from? What you want to ask is, from whence was life derived? And I don't know the answer. But you see, I'm a very courageous woman, and I can face the fact that I don't know the answer. But you religious folks can't. The answer is going to come to us, and that answer is going to be from astronomy, from space exploration, from astrophysics. We will find out from whence our universe came, and we will find out from biochemistry how life was derived. As a matter of fact, we are already in laboratories all over the world being able to make organic material out of inorganic material. So the answer is coming to us. It's not going to come from reaching back and reading a Bible which was written by a bunch of...
Now, seeing Miss Ohair on the TV in 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s had come to an end when her son, and her granddaughter went missing. On August 27, 1995, Ohair, her son John, and her granddaughter Robin disappeared from their home and office. A handwritten note was attached to the locked office door. Typed. The Murray O'Hair family had been called out of town to an emergency basis. We do not know how long we will be gone at the time of the writing of this memo. When the police entered O'Hair's home, it looked as if they left in a hurry. The trio said in phone calls that they were on business in San Antonio, Texas. Golf Murray ordered $600,000 worth of gold coins from a San Antonio jeweler, but took delivery of only $500,000 worth of coins. Until September 27th, American Atheist employees received several mobile calls from Robin and John, but neither explained why they had left or when they will return. Employees reported that their voices sounded strained and disturbed. After September 28th, no further communication came from any of the three. American Atheists were facing serious financial problems because of the withdrawal of funds. There were speculations that the trio had disappeared in order to conceal its assets or avoid being contacted by creditors. In 1999, nearly 4 years after the August 1995 disappearances of O'Hair and her family, investigators led from various reporters finally led to the official investigation to focus on David Roland Waters, a felon with a violent history who had started working for American Atheists in 1993. In May 1995, Waters had pleaded guilty to stealing $54,000 from the organization in 1994. When Waters received a sentence, Ohair published an article in the American Atheist newsletter in which he exposed the thief of money along with his previous crimes. Ohair claimed that at the age of 17, Waters had unalived another teenager and had been sentenced to 8 years in prison. When authorities finally pursued the Waters connection in 1999, Waters' former girlfriend Patty confirmed that Waters had vowed violence revenge after reading Ohair's article. Federal agents for the FBI and the IRS, along with police, concluded that Waters and his accomplice, Gary Paul Carr and Danny Fry, had kidnapped all three Murray and O'Hair family members, forced them to withdraw the missing funds, gone on several shopping sprees with their money and credit cards, and then unalived and dismembered all three. A few days after O'Hair, her son and granddaughter were unalived, Waters and Carr killed unalived Fry. His body was found on a riverbed in rural Dallas County in October 1995, but his head and hands were missing. As a result, his remains not identified for 3.5 years. When reporter McCormick's own investigation led him to suggest that the body might be Fry's. A search warrant was executed on the apartment of Waters and his girlfriend. In June 2000, nearly a full 5 years after the unalivings, a 3-week trial found Carr guilty of conspiracy to commit extortion, traveling interstate in order to commit violence, money laundering, and interstate transportation of stolen property, all charges related to O'Hair's case. He was acquitted of conspiracy to kidnapped the Ohairs because the authorities had failed to locate any remains. In August 2000, Carr was sentenced to 2 life sentences in prison by the U.S. District Judge Sam Sparks. Water was arrested and prosecuted in a January 2001 plea agreement solely on the charge of conspiracy. He agreed to lead authorities to the site where he hid the bodies of Ohair and had been buried and burnt. He was sentenced to serve 20 years in prison, which he had requested because he did not want to serve time for his earlier theft convictions in Texas State Prison. He did not go to trial for the kidnapping and the unaliving of three members of the Ohair family. He was also ordered to pay back a total of $40,000 to American Atheists in the estates of Madalyn Murray O'Hair, John Goff Murray, and Robin Murray O'Hair. It is unlikely that any part of the debt was ever paid because Waters was not able to earn any money while he was in prison. Waters died of lung cancer on January 27, 2003, at a federal medical center in Butcher, North Carolina. Now you guys know where we go from here. Come, I'm listening. Comment. Let me know what you think about this story of atheism, of Miss Murray O'Hair, and everything that surrounded her. Come, please, come. I'm listening. Let me know what you think. Bye.